Okay, well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Candidates Forum presented and produced by the League of Women Voters of Northwest Wayne County. This Candidates Forum for the Van Buren Township Trustees is being recorded on June 30th, 2020, prior to the August 4th primary election. My name is Paula Bowman, and I'm the president of the League of Women Voters of Northwest Wayne County and also the moderator. My colleague Val Nelson is also on the board of directors and is serving as the timer tonight. Voters in November will be electing 4 trustees. In the August 4th primary, 7 Democratic candidates and 1 Republican candidate are running. On the Democratic ballot, the top 4 vote getters will advance to the November ballot, and 1 Republican will automatically advance to the November ballot, and there may possibly be other third-party candidates on the November ballot also. Michigan is an open primary state. It's not necessary for a voter to be a registered party member, but a voter must choose either a Republican or a Democratic ballot for the primary, and your choices are restricted to that party's ballot in the August primary. In the November election, a voter is free to vote for any candidate he or she chooses. They don't all have to be in the same party. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization. We do not support or oppose any candidate running for any office. The League does take positions on issues after careful study, so you may see our name attached to an issue we are advocating or opposing. The League of Women Voters is where hands-on work to safeguard democracy leads to civic improvement. Membership is open to anyone who is at least 16 years old, and you can join through our website. The League's main mission is to promote political responsibility through informed and active participation in government. One of the ways we do that is by having forums such as this one tonight. The League has also prepared a nonpartisan voter guide, which can be found online at vote411.org. Holding a candidates forum by Zoom call poses challenges different from an in-person forum. Only League personnel and the candidates are present at the forum, but we did solicit questions from the public in advance so we could ask them at tonight's event. Questions were screened for clarity, and any which included personal attacks on a candidate were eliminated. The views expressed in this forum are those of the candidate and not of the League of Women Voters. And now we'll get started with our forum. All 7 Democratic candidates and the 1 Republican candidate on the August 4th primary ballot were invited to participate in tonight's forum. The Democratic candidates who are participating are Sherry Frazier, Kevin Martin, Walter Rehoviak, Paul White, and Donald Boynton Jr. Reggie Miller was unable to participate tonight, and the 1 Republican candidate, Cameron Perzondek, is also not participating. All the candidates have agreed to the format for tonight's forum, which is as follows. Each candidate is allowed a 1-minute opening statement, a 1-minute response to all the questions, and a 1-minute closing statement. The order that the candidates speak was determined by a random selection process witnessed by the candidates before the recording of this forum began. We will rotate the order of the candidate who responds to a question first. Val Nelson is going to be holding up the forum cards, and Val, if you could hold one up just to make sure everybody can see it. The candidate must stop when the sign appears. Let's begin our opening statement with the candidate who drew first, or whose name was drawn first before this forum began, and that would be Kevin Martin. Mr. Martin, if you can unmute yourself and give us your opening statement.
Good evening. I would first like to thank the League of Women Voters for having this forum. It gives opportunity to express our views and what we plan to do if we're elected to office. I'd just like to say that I am a longtime resident of Van Buren Township. I work at General Motors as an electrician, and I'm running for re-election because I truly enjoy serving the public. I enjoy being a trustee. I think that this last 4.5 years, I've developed a rapport with the directors in the department, with the board members, and I think that we have worked to do a lot of good things for the township, and we still have more work to do, still better things to come. So I'm asking that you vote for me, and I will continue to do the fine job that I think I've done over the last 3.5 years.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Ms. Frazier, your opening statement?
Thank you to the league and for the residents who are listening to this. I'd just like to say that my background is I've been an educator. I was a school board member in Van Buren Public Schools for 11 years. I also have been a longtime realtor. I sell Van Buren Township every day because of the business I'm in. I have been on the board, and I want to continue the progress and the commitments that we have made to the residents. I want to continue to move forward for the residents and to prosper and to bring businesses to the township so that we can grow our tax base and keep our taxes low. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. White, if you could give us your opening statement, please.
My turn?
Yes, it is.
Okay. To our valued Van Buren Township residents, this is to announce my candidacy for the office of Van Buren Township Trustee. Living in this area for 59 years and being a Van Buren Township homeowner since 1966 has been very beneficial to me. I was supervisor from 2008 to 2012 and trustee from 12 to 20, and this experience will be valuable if I'm elected for a second term. This knowledge will serve in making decisions favorable to the benefit of our residents. The general budget will be a priority in establishing efficiency with effectiveness in the township. During my term as supervisor, the 2012 budget was audited at $12 million, the lowest in many years. And that budget has increased since I left office as a township trustee. The general budget will be a priority, and it will continue to be a priority with me. And
thank you, Mr. White. Your 1 minute is up.
Thank you.
You'll have an opportunity to speak more later. Mr. Rahoviak, if you could unmute yourself and give us your opening statement.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Again, my name is Walt Rahoviak. I am self-employed with a greenhouse operation for the last 47 years. I've lived in the community all my life. I've been married to my wife, Joyce, for 55 years. I'm a graduate of Alpha High School. I've attended Cleary College, DuPage College of Horticultural Schooling. I've been involved in many facets of the community. I'm a legislative aide for Al Heides, our county commissioner, and have served on the Sewer and Water Board for over 30 years. I feel I have the integrity and the qualifications for the job and would like to follow what the residents' needs are. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Boynton, just so the audience knows, Mr. Boynton's video is not available. He is working with us by phone. We're glad he's here. And if you could give us your opening statement, Mr. Boynton.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. First of all, good evening to all of Van Buren Township that may be listening. And I am Donald Boynton Jr. I am also running for one of the positions here in the township. And well, I don't want to use up too much time doing this. I'm just excited to be doing what I'm doing right now, and I look forward to serving the township in the best way that I can. And with that, I will go ahead and get ready for the forum.
Thank you. Okay, we'll start with the questions, and I'll read the question. If any of you would like me to repeat it along the way, please don't hesitate to ask. Mr. Martin, we're going to start with you first. What skills and/or attributes do you possess that will qualify you as a productive member of the Township Board? Unmute yourself first.
Thank you for the question. I think my attributes are I'm a great communicator. I am a deep thinker, and I ponder all the decisions a lot. I do my research, and I just think that I can be a responsible trustee. So, and like I said, I'm a good communicator. I get along with everybody. I try to be the voice of reason. I try to be calm, and I enjoy doing what I do. I think that my long time work experience also comes into factor. I've been in the local union for 43 years, and I've had a lot of dealings with people and various people, and I think I can get along well with them. I think I can make sound decisions to benefit the township without taking any personal, without personalizing it.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Frazier, your response?
Could you read the question again?
Sure. What skills and/or attributes do you possess that would qualify you as a productive member of the Township Board?
Well, I've always been involved in the township. My educational skills, I have a degree from U of M and one from Wayne State and one from Eastern. And I have advocated for, when I was a teacher, I taught government, and that's how I got involved in local politics, is because my students said to me, what am I doing? And so I had to run for office. I'm a realtor, and so I'm out there talking to the community, and I am a planner and always want to rise above, not just be average, but to go the extra mile to get the community up there on a level that people will want to move.
Thanks, Ms. Frazier. Mr. White, your response?
My response is my experience with the township as a supervisor for 4 years and also as a trustee for the last 4 years. I have attended many classes over the 2 terms that I've served. I'm only 2 classes short of my MTA certification right now, and I intend to take those as soon as they're available. I have many experiences dealing with the public, as I worked in a supermarket for 35 years before I got into politics. I attended many meetings before I was ran for supervisor the first time, and also trustee the second time. I have a deep knowledge of the township. I have a deep knowledge of what our residents want and desire, and I would be a perfect fit to be elected trustee again, and let all the residents know that I am available anytime to talk with them about any concern they have, and I will work and do my best to make sure that they are happy and satisfied with my performance.
Thank you very much. Mr. Rahoviak, if you could unmute and respond.
Okay. Can I get the question again?
Sure. What skills and/or attributes do you possess that would qualify you as a productive member of the Township Board?
Okay, I feel that I have many attributes to be able to serve the community. I've been a president of the Wayne County Farm Bureau in the past for over 10 years, serving Farm Bureau and the farmers and people of Wayne County. I've also been involved with legislative aid for Alhidas for the last 4 years.
You serve on the Water and Sewer Board.
I serve on the Water and Sewer Board for the last 30 years. We have probably the lowest water rates in the county. And I've been watching, keeping track of all that.
You're a business owner?
I have my own business. I have the Garden Fantasy, my business. I know all about budgets and everything. I've served on many other boards, and I would like to be able to serve the community and do what the people want and not what I want.
Thank you, Mr. Rehoviak. Mr. Boynton, it's your turn to answer the question.
Okay, sure. Can you guys hear me?
We can, yes.
Okay, very good. Well, for the most part, I have served on the, I've served in a position, if you will, as being a member of the Planning Commission. I'm vice chair of the Planning Commission. And that, with that, I have also attained the Master Citizen Planner for that position. I have definitely made a positive influence on the board. I have definitely made it to the point where being on the board, it is, it's very unique. It's very, 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 very.
Thank you, Mr. Boynton. That's 1 minute.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. We'll begin our next question with Ms. Frazier. The pandemic caught almost everyone off guard. Knowing what we know now, what measures should Van Buren Township take to prepare for the next catastrophe?
Well, I hope we don't have another pandemic, but if we do, I think we have to be proactive, get out there and inform the residents as soon as possible, and take all kinds of protective measures with the business people to curtail the spread of anything that comes our way. It has to be a partnership with the community members, the businesses, and we have to be proactive and enforce, what we have to do. So if we say, we're going to have to close, then we have to close. So I just think that we need to stay on top of things and keep residents informed. That's key.
Thank you. Mr. White?
Well, this pandemic is certainly something new to us that hasn't happened to us in a long time. And we must be prepared for the safety of our residents as our number one and only resolution to make sure that our residents know and understand what is necessary to keep them safe. I know that going into the supermarkets and visiting other places, it's been a little bit odd as to who wears masks and who doesn't. So we should have a resolution set forward as how we will handle this step by step so that we know exactly what is going on and that our residents will have an idea of how to prepare for something such as this pandemic. It is my hope that we never experience this again in our lifetime. And it is critical for us to be absolutely aware of any situation that could come to us so that we can acknowledge it and know and have a good plan on how we would go forth with another situation such as this. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rehoviak.
Okay. Well, I've had a business for the last 50 years, and it's really tough to take and understand what the is. I know that come this fall, we're going to have the flu to contend with, along with the COVID. It's going to be a real tough deal. We in our operation ask our customers to take and put their masks on before they enter our greenhouse, and we maintain that, and we try to maintain the 6-foot distance. The biggest thing is that we need to take and all of us realize what the situation is out there and follow the rules and regulations that we've already got, and keep on going that way. We'll stay safe.
Thank you, Mr. Rehoviak. Mr. Boynton, your response?
We're going to have to make sure that we definitely follow all of the guidelines and the rules that have been given to us by the CDC and others. We're going to have to follow the science. We're going to have to follow the all of those things in order for us to fight through this. We've seen one portion of it, and it's very unreal that we are now starting to go back up again. So we're going to have to take and just bear down, buckle down, and make sure that we can get through this all together. We're just going to have to depend on each other and look out for each other at the same time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Boynton. Mr. Martin?
Would you repeat the question, please?
Sure. Knowing what we know now, what measures should Van Buren Township take to prepare for the next catastrophe?
Well, I think the township needs to come up with a comprehensive preparedness plan that will cover a lot of things that could happen. I think most of all, we should have a list and let people know the type of things they should stock and have at home, so that they can have, you know, a weather radio, batteries, flashlight, bottled water, packaged food, so they could be prepared if this happens again. Not only COVID, but any other disaster that may happen. So we need to develop a comprehensive plan, and we need to take the lessons that we've learned from COVID and make sure that that preparedness has been documented as outlined by the CDC, and that's how we become ready. We inform the residents, we educate them, and we get ready.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Mr. White, we'll start this next question with you. As a board member, what long and short-term goals would you like to see put in place during the next 4 years?
I would like to see more recreational activities for our youth to take up a lot of their spare time to keep them safe and healthy. I would also like to see improvements in all of our services to the highest degree possible, so that our residents are more than satisfied with them, and they know that when they call Township Hall or any of the elected officials, that they can get a proper answer from them. It is my goal to make sure that if any resident has a question or any type of notice that they want, that I am open for them to call me and discuss it with me. And our township should also create a better way to confer with residents, to hear their complaints and see how we could best satisfy them in the most efficient way and manner, it is important that we realize that our residents pay
Thank
a
you.
great amount of money.
Thank you, Mr. White. Mr.
Thank you.
Rehoviak, your response?
I'm not on the board right now, but I can see a lot of areas that we need to look at. We need to bring in good businesses into our community, businesses that are going to support things that go on in the community. We need to give good service to our people, so that, you know, they pay for our dollars to take in for services, and we should be able to give them that service that they want. So with that, I'm going to go to the next question. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Boynton, your response?
Yes, I share the same position as Mr. Rehoviak. I'm not on the board at this point right now, so I would pretty much go with the same thing as far as businesses that are coming in and other aspects along those measures. However, I would certainly like to see that there are enough recreational things going on and other things in that measure, so that we can have a prosperous township. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Martin?
Yes, I agree with some of the answers, but I think one thing we really need is and this is something we started working on before, is a community center for the residents of Van Buren Township. We have a community center building. We can increase our programming. We have outgrown the township hall where we have a lot of our programs. I would like to see, to make sure that our public safety departments are well-trained and equipped. I would like to see, and I will work towards having affordable senior housing. I think that's very important in our community. I would like to see some kind of medical facility, clinic, or something like that in our community that we sorely need. And I would just like to see things that we can keep in the township. We don't have to go to other places to get the things that we need. So I think that's our important things right now.
Thank you. Ms. Frazier?
Well, I'd like to, the question was, again,
As a board member, what long and short-term goals would you like to see put in place during the next 4 years?
well, I'd like to see us strengthen our tax base with growth by businesses to attract some high-performing business here that could really give us a good tax base. I'd like for us to survey the community and see what they see as what they want. And then I'd like for us to act on the community survey in implementing more recreation, more businesses, whatever services they deem necessary. I think it's important to hear from the residents and involve them as much as possible, and to be a transparent board.
The Army Corps of Engineers claims the French Landing Dam poses a high hazard potential classification. This top danger criteria means loss of life is likely if the dam fails. Are you aware of the French Landing Dam issues, and what steps would you suggest to ensure the safety of Van Buren Township residents? You need to unmute yourself, Mr. Rehoviak.
There we go. I'm not really familiar with it on today's issues. I have heard a lot of things people talking about, that the dam is unsafe. It was 30 years ago. It was rebuilt. I know that, and it was safe for everybody concerned. But if the dam failed today, there's a lot of downriver people, in New Boston, Carlton, all the way down to Lake Erie, that would be flooded out and they would lose their homes, possible loss of life. I hate to see what would happen if like what happened up in Midland. That was a shame.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Boynton, your response?
Hold the company accountable.
Can you hear me?
Yes?
Yes. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I kind of share the same position as Mr. Rehobiak. I'm not familiar with any problems at this time. So I think I would, I don't think I can answer the question all too well. That's pretty much the position I'm going to have right now. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Martin, your response?
Yes, I've seen that part of that report from the Army Corps of Engineers. But one thing about the dam, and it's regulated by the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, and a lot of that information on that dam is not privy to not only us as a board, but to the general public. So knowing the real nuts and bolts of what's actually going on with the dam, we are not privy to. I will say this, and I spoke about it earlier, preparedness plan. That's why you got to have a plan in case that something does happen. We'll be able to better handle it and utilize our resources to overcome it. But that dam is old, and I'm sure it could be a problem. And I think that we need to get the Army Corps of Engineers involved in it and do a real comprehensive study so we can find out if there's any way that we can strengthen it or what we have to do to make it safe.
Thank you. Ms. Frazier?
Well, I think public safety is number one in keeping our residents safe. And the dam is part of keeping the public safe, because if the dam goes, there could very well be loss of not only property, but of lives. So I think that we need to work with the federal government and making it as safe as possible, and getting the reports on a regular basis so that we can be on top of things. We can't just say, well, we didn't know it. It's our responsibility to know it and to keep our residents safe. That's why we have the dam. It's our power source. And we need the dam, but we need to keep the safety of our residents up there and forefront.
Thank you. Mr. White?
We need to be in constant contact with FERC so that we can know and understand how FERC works, and make sure that they understand that they must notify us immediately of any issue with that dam. As most people know, I'm a bass fisherman. I fish Wixom Lake, I fish Sanford Lake, and our dam is almost identical to the Wixom Dam and to the Sanford Dam. So my concern is very heavy about what would happen if that dam broke. I think that all the residents south of the dam or east of the dam should know the elevation of their property, and there should be a recommendation of how high the water would get if that dam were to break. It is a huge concern to me, as I live downriver from that dam and not too far from Huron River. And the residents should know and understand and be ID'd as to who would be in the area that could possibly be flooded and cause damage to their homes. And the township engineers could very well do this.
Thank you, Mr. White. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, we seem to have lost Mr. Boynton from this call. Mr. Martin, we'll start the next question with you. What have you done recently as a township resident that has positively impacted Van Buren Township?
Well, I think that my support of the full-time fire department has been one of the big things that's happened in our township. Previously, we had just volunteer on call, and sometimes our fire department was left unmanned. And so that the board came together, and I kind of was on board with that. So we have 6 full-time firemen right now, firefighters, I'm sorry. And I think that was a big plus for the township.
Thank you. Ms. Frazier?
Again, public safety is number one, and getting a full-time fire department, I agree with Trustee Martin in saying that moving to a full-time fire department was one of the best moves Van Buren Township has made. We have the splash pad, new recreation programs for the young and the old, and we are moving in a positive direction, I think, as a township in meeting the needs of our residents. And that's what it's about. They pay taxes, they want the services, and they expect great services, not just average. They want us to produce what makes a quality community.
Thank you. Mr. White?
I am strongly involved in reading and acting on expenses in our budget. I'm very much against $15,000 raises, because that $15,000 raises for several employees comes out of our senior citizens and our regular citizens' pocketbook, and they could spend that money more efficiently, in my opinion. I was a strong budget advocate when I was supervisor, and I'm a strong budget advocate now, and I very often speak out against the budget on excessive expenditures. I'd also like to say that I publicly promote our public safety department on my Facebook page. Now, I'm very active on Facebook, and I have a lot of Van Buren Township residents on that Facebook page, and I'm continually letting them know how our money should be spent and what is the most effective way for us to get dollars here in Township. And I will continue to do that. That is one of my top priorities, is the finances of Van Buren Township, and we cannot continue to spend excessive monies that are unnecessary.
Thank you, Mr. White. Mr. Rahoviak?
Yes, I've always been an advocate to serving, making sure that our public safety is up to par, and our fire department, along with our police department. I, as an individual, look at what my business has been able to do for the people in this community. The convict disease that we have, with everybody having to be locked up in their house, more or less. When we finally got the okay from the governor to open our business to the public, it was really an advocate to many people, because it was like a storm, and people came running to our greenhouse to buy plants to get out in their gardens.
Thank you. Ms. Frazier, we'll start the next question with you. Some residents are concerned about the toxicity levels of the dump in Van Buren Township. Discuss whether you believe the dump is a public health threat to current and future area residents.
Well, I believe the dump or the landfill, I assume you're referring to the landfill.
Yes.
We live in a society that is a throwaway society. It's disposable now. And we, along with living in this type of society, we have to get rid of the waste. It's not something that everybody wants to have in their community, but we have it, and I think that Waste Management does an excellent job of keeping us informed and keeping our residents safe. And I think the regulations that are in place, provide for a safe environment. I'm not saying that there isn't toxicity there, but it's manageable, and we're keeping and doing the best we can.
Thank you. Mr. White?
That dump is important to our township in several ways. It helps keep our costs low on our trash and our yard waste. It also contributes millions of dollars to our township budget. I've been on top of that dump, and it is high in the sky because you can see the rinse in downtown from that dump. But that dump has actually helped our township to keep our residents' tax dollars low. However, that dump did give dollars, a huge donation to the several politicians in the past, and I'm totally against a politician accepting money from a dump that we negotiate with. I think that should never happen again, and I will strongly speak out when it does happen. And I'm appreciative of everything that the money from the dump contributes to our township to help keep our taxes low. However, the raise that we're going to start paying in 21 or 22, I'm against that, 100% against that. I don't think our, thank you.
Okay, your turn.
Okay. I don't feel that the dump is contributing any diseases or anything. It's an evil necessity. We need the dump to be able to get rid of all of our wastes when we're a society that develops a lot of waste.
It's controlled by the EPA.
It's controlled by the EPA and various other organizations in the state and the federal government. But and as Paul said, that we also get money from the dump for services that they render to the community. We may end up start paying trash collection because it's my understanding it was in the contract.
Contracts up.
Thank you, Mr. Rehoviak. Mr. Martin?
Yes. Well, landfill management is quite a science, and they do a very good job of how they contain and maintain the waste, how they collect the rainwater off water to keep it from getting into the water tables, the local water tables. And they really, I think they do a pretty good job. I mean, as with everything, there's always a possibility something may happen, but they're regulated by the state of Michigan and the EPA, and they inspect those facilities quite often. And they're not announced inspections either. They could pop up at any time and make sure that they're doing everything the way they're supposed to do. So I think for the most part, the landfill is safe, and I think it's well maintained and operated.
Great, thank you. We'll start this next question with Mr. White. What actions to improve racial justice in Van Buren Township would you support?
Is that for me?
Yes, Mr. White.
Oh, I'm sorry. I would support anything that would benefit every resident in our township. I grew up down south, and I went to school in my neighborhood. My father was a coal miner, and everybody in that neighborhood was a coal miner, and they all worked in the same mines, and all the houses that belonged to the company, and they put the residents, intertwined with them. So when I grew up, I played with African-American kids, and some of them were my best friends. And I think that what we need now is to make everyone realize that we must include every race, every society into our township so that everyone knows that we are a welcome township. It is necessary for us to move forward and let all the people that are choose to move into our township know that we have an integrated township with many, many different factors in it. And also with our school system does a very good job too in that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rahoviak?
Well, it's a great question. I have to go back to in my heritage. I'm a Christian, a Catholic. I believe in the fact that we're all created equal. No matter what color our skin is or who we are, we're all equal. And I would always support that theory, no matter what. In my business, I have African American people working for me, and they're the greatest people that I know. A lot of my customers are that way, and you can't find anybody better than the African American people that we have that I service. So I would support many aspects of their life. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Martin?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Sure. What actions to improve racial justice in Van Buren Township would you support?
Or I think the key thing is education. We have to be educated. We have to get people to be aware that we all have differences. We all are different, but we're all the same. We belong to the same race, the human race, and there's no difference between me or anyone else. I think education is key, and we need to maybe have programming through the recreation department or something to create a bigger awareness, and that, you know, we all should be treated fairly. I'm the Civil and Human Rights chairperson at my workplace, and I think that everybody should have the same rights. Everybody is equal. There's no difference, regardless of anything. So I think education is the key, and maybe we should develop some programming to make people more aware of what's going on.
Thank you. Ms. Frazier?
I think the true test of any township or city on being integrated and racially fair comes down to their hiring practices. I think that the people that work for the township should reflect the diversity that we have in the community. And I think that we've done a fairly good job on that, but we can do a better job, and that we need to strive to have equality for all people. It's not just about race anymore. It's about marital status. It's about gender. It's about people being accepted for where they are and who they are in this day and age. And for a lot of communities, that's not easy, but I think it is for Van Buren.
Thank you. Mr. Rahoviak, we'll start this next question with you. How well is our community meeting the needs of seniors, and what more needs to be done?
Well, I don't think we're meeting the needs of the seniors right now. They need senior assisted living areas. We need senior high rises. There's a lot of older people now, and we need to take care of them and look at good places for them to be able to rest their bodies and even get employment, because there's some of the seniors don't have enough retirement funds for them. So that's all.
Thank you. Mr. Martin?
Yes, I think we do need more affordable senior housing. They need to be able to live collectively and on their own. We need, I think, a medical facility where they can have their medical needs met in one central location. They can see doctors, they can get their prescriptions filled. And I think they're, in our senior days department, they do a great job with recreational programming for the seniors. They have activities, they have their store that they run. And I think they do a great job, but there's a lot more that we can do. And I think we need to start seriously by looking at affordable housing. That would be one of my goals is, if I'm reelected, is to start working on a plan that they have affordable housing.
Thank you. Ms. Frazier?
Well, our community grows older, and we have to meet the seniors. I'm a senior citizen. We have to meet their needs for housing, for being able to get around and shop. I think we've done a good job on Belleville Road. I think that we're fortunate to be the community that is a gateway. We have access to University of Michigan. We have the St. Joe's, so we have good medical support. We just need to do what seniors need, and we need to support their needs. That's what's important. Be
Thank you.
proactive.
Thank you. Mr. White?
As everyone knows, I'm probably the oldest person on the board, and maybe even on this clinic here. I think that we should do everything we can to create low-cost housing for our seniors, especially some of these senior ladies who are living alone, so that they can be independent and everything. We need to look at the property tax and maybe allow a different rate for our seniors in the township to help them with their property tax. You know, we should have assets with knowledge for our senior citizens, and maybe give them some classes on money handling, you know, how to deal with the with their money at the supermarket, how to work with doctors, how to do everything that's necessary in their life. Help them with all the economics of a family that lives together, and that includes, you know, all the utility bills, housing, grocery bills, everything else that goes to handle that, and maybe even provide free services in their gardens.
Thank you, Mr. White. We have one final question before we start our open or closing remarks. We'll start this last question with Mr. Martin. How will you consider climate change and other environmental issues in economic development?
Well, I think in development and buildings and businesses, I think we need to start looking at how to make them green, how to make these facilities green, so we can save energy and make them more energy efficient. And I think that'd probably be a good way to start and encourage businesses to be green. And I think even as a township, we can start being green also. We can go paperless. We may want to consider alternative fuels in our vehicles. Natural gas would be a good choice. So I think that we just have to promote being green. And I think in the long run, the businesses, it may cost them a lot of money, not a lot of money, but it may cost more initially, but I think it'll pay off in the end with lower utility bills and a lower carbon footprint.
Thank you. Ms. Frazier?
It's about climate change. It's going to happen whether we want to or not. We have to be flexible. We have to save our energy. We have to be an example for our residents in the township by instituting green cost-saving measures, like changing to maybe electric autos, looking at a paperless, township, which I think we've done a pretty good job on that. We're addressing it. I just think that we have to work together to save our environment and deal with the problems that we're going to be faced with as far as climate change goes. The whole world is going to be affected by climate change, and we have to get ahead of it and make the best of it and try to be out there
Thank
before.
you. Thanks, Ms. Frazier.
Thank you.
Mr. White, your
Oh,
response?
boy, I wish I had 5 minutes to talk about this, but climate change is coming whether we like it or not. And there's many ways that Van Buren Township could add to that. One example would be to have larger lots so that we have fewer houses. And because of the fact that fewer houses would mean less energy used and would be beneficial to us. And also, we should require efficient appliances in our township, and that would be something tough to do, and I don't know if we could do it or not. For example, stoves, dishwashers, washers, dryers, heating, and other matters like that. We also should allow green spaces, have a lot of green spaces in our township. For example, how much energy does a golf course take, or as far as creating a better green space in areas like that. And I think there's many ways that we could do that and encourage our residents more strongly to recycle. That is critical. If we're ever going to have that, we don't need.
White. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Verhoviak, your response?
Well, I think, first thing we need to do is start to look in our own backyard to see what we can put in for energy savings.
We can't force people to do it.
But the biggest problem, we can't make it mandatory to our residents that they have to take and do energy savings. We can recommend it and show them what it would cost if we went into energy saving devices and what would happen. I know in my business to have windmills generating electricity would really cut down on a lot of sources. We have a lot of natural ways of collecting energy. So.
Thank you, Mr. Verhoviak. We're now going to finish off with our 1-minute closing statements. Mr. Martin, we'll start with you if you would like to wrap us up with a 1-minute statement.
Once again, I'd like to thank all of you that participated this evening. And if I have the privilege of being reelected to Van Buren Township Trustee, my main goals to work on and bring to our residents is affordable senior housing. I think that is very important. I think that we've already started the feasibility study. I think we need to go to the next phase to bring this community center to realization. I'm a big advocate of green spaces. We need to have more green spaces. We need to improve our parks. People say that, well, nobody goes to the parks. Well, they need to be improved. I think we should work on our parks. And I think we need to work on our township infrastructure and make sure that our water and sewer systems are maintained and that we can continue to provide safe, clean drinking water to our township.
Thank you so much. Ms. Frazier?
Well, I agree with a lot of the things that Trustee Martin mentioned, but I think that we need to get community input. We need to give the residents a chance to voice their opinion, and we need to act on what they see as giving them a quality of life that makes them want to stay in Van Buren Township and live here. I agree that we need a community center. It should be for young and for old, and more green spaces are necessary. That is a way to keep our environment strong and keep our community beautiful. We need more parks, or the parks that we have. I think we need to keep them at the forefront. We have some remarkable opportunities for people that go to the parks. We have a
Thank
beach,
you.
one of the only ones.
Thank you, Ms. Frazier. Mr. White, your 1-minute closing statement?
The budget is a real area for me to work on and try to handle and make sure that our budgeting is proper. We don't have any expenditures on there that are not necessary. And I will always look at the finances of our township, because that's the critical area where everything starts. Also, I'd like to do everything we can for our seniors to promote their townships, mobile age, old age, to better represent townships about them so that they can move forward. The thing I'd like to mention is Menards. When I was supervisor, I talked to Menards for probably 3 months to convince them to come look at the township, then another 3 months to convince them to build. And it took well over a year for them to finally decide here. And I had to keep that under the wraps so that I didn't want anybody else to screw up the fact that we needed a home store here for repairs and everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
I've enjoyed the meeting.
Mr. Rehoviak, your closing statement?
I would like to take and thank the League of Women Voters for allowing this opportunity to share with the people my qualifications. Because of the COVID pandemic, there are not a lot of forums available. I will give all that I can if I'm elected, and I will do the best job for the people. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, we'd also like to thank the League of Women Voters. It wasn't just Val and I working on this. We had a whole team of people in the league working on these Zoom forums so that we could try to provide voters with some opportunities to learn about their candidates. This forum has been recorded, and it can soon be viewed on the league's website, which is lwvnorthwestwayne.org. And as I mentioned earlier, Van Buren Township has offered to post it on their website too. We also thank the candidates who are running for office. They are asking for voter support as they seek a job in the public service sector, and we hope voters will listen to their views. You were a very impressive group of people, and we appreciate you coming. We also appreciate the voters in Van Buren Township who are watching this forum to learn about their choices on August 4th. Remember that the 4 Democrats who win the most votes on August 4th will advance to the November ballot along with the Republican candidate and possibly other third-party candidates. All of the Democratic and Republican candidates were invited to participate in the League of Women Voters Voter Guide, a publication that you can access online by visiting vote411.org. Simply by typing in your voting address, you can access all the races on your ballot, you can verify your voter registration status, and even find your polling places. Again, that website is vote411.org. Primary election day is August 4th. If you are not registered to vote, you can do so up through Election Day. Registration 10 days before Election Day must be done at the office of the Van Buren Township Clerk. Polls are open on Election Day from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., but all registered voters can vote early by absentee ballot. Remember that you first must fill out and return the absentee ballot application to your city or township clerk before a ballot can be mailed to you. If you need an absentee ballot application, contact your township clerk. This concludes our forum for this evening. Thank you again, candidates, for participating, and good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.